Dr. Rebecca Martinez rubbed her tired eyes and stared at the computer screen again. The numbers could not be right. She had been working at the Kepler Deep Space Observatory for 12 years, and she had never seen readings like these. The coffee in her mug had gone cold hours ago, but Rebecca did not notice. She was too focused on the data streaming in from Betelgeuse, the giant red star in the constellation Orion. For the past 3 weeks, something strange had been happening up there, something that made her stomach twist with worry. Computer. "Run the analysis again," she said to the machine. The screen flickered and showed the same results. Gamma-ray bursts, lots of them, coming from Betelgeuse in patterns that should not exist. The star was supposed to be stable for at least another 1,000 years before it exploded. That was what every textbook said. That was what every scientist believed. But the data told a different story. Rebecca picked up her phone and called Dr. David Chen, her colleague in the physics department. David answered on the third ring, sounding sleepy. "Rebecca, do you know what time it is?" David asked. "David, you need to get here right now. Bring the stellar evolution models. All of them." "What's wrong?" "Betelgeuse is dying, and I mean right now." 20 minutes later, David burst through the observatory doors, his hair messy and his shirt buttoned wrong. He found Rebecca still at her computer, surrounded by printed charts and empty coffee cups. "Show me," David said. Rebecca pulled up the data on the main screen. The readings showed massive energy fluctuations deep inside Betelgeuse. The star's core was collapsing much faster than anyone had predicted. "This can't be right," David said, checking the numbers twice. "The models show Betelgeuse has thousands of years left." "The models are wrong," Rebecca replied. "Look at the gamma-ray patterns. The star is burning through its nuclear fuel at an incredible rate. The core is getting heavier by the day." David ran his own calculations on his laptop. His face went pale as the numbers came back. "If this is accurate, Betelgeuse will go supernova in less than 18 months, he whispered. Rebecca nodded grimly. "Maybe less. And when it does—" She did not need to finish the sentence. They both knew what a supernova meant. When Betelgeuse exploded, it would release more energy in 10 seconds than the sun would produce in 10 billion years. The gamma-ray burst would race across space at the speed of light, sterilizing everything in its path. Earth was 640 light-years. Away from Betelgeuse, close enough to be in serious trouble. "We need to call Washington," David said. But before Rebecca could reach for her phone, it rang. The caller ID showed a number she did not recognize. "Dr. Martinez," she answered. "Dr. Martinez, this is Commander Jake Thompson with the United Earth Defense Force. We need to talk, now." An hour later, Rebecca and David sat in a secure conference room at the nearby military base. Commander Thompson was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. He looked like someone who had seen too many bad situations. "What I'm about to tell you is classified," Thompson said. 3 hours ago, we received communications from space. Not from our satellites or space stations. From someone else." He pressed a button on the table. A holographic display appeared, showing what looked like a spaceship. It was unlike anything Rebecca had ever seen, with smooth curves and materials that seemed to glow with their own light. "They call themselves the Galactic Council," Thompson continued. "A group of 12 different alien species. They've been watching Earth for centuries, but they've never made contact. Until today." Rebecca felt her heart racing. "Why now?" "Because of Betelgeuse," Thompson said. "They know what you discovered. They've been monitoring the star, too. And they're here to help." The next morning, Rebecca found herself standing on the White House lawn, watching 3 alien ships land on the south lawn. The ships were beautiful and terrifying at the same time, making no sound as they settled onto the grass. A door opened on the largest ship, and 3 beings walked out. They looked almost human, but taller and thinner, with skin that had a slight blue tint. The one in front wore what appeared to be a uniform covered in symbols Rebecca did not recognize. President Michael Hayes stepped forward to greet them. The alien leader spoke in perfect English, though his voice had an odd musical quality. I am Ambassador Krell of the Valdorian Empire, representing the Galactic Council. We come with urgent news about your star Betelgeuse. We already know, President Hayes said. Our scientists detected the problem. Krell looked surprised. Impressive. Most species do not notice until it is too late. This makes our mission easier. What? Mission? The president asked. Evacuation, Krell said simply. When Betelgeuse explodes, the gamma-ray burst will sterilize everything within 600 light years. Your entire solar system will be destroyed. Every living thing on Earth will die. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. However, Krell continued, the Galactic Council has prepared refugee colonies on 12 different worlds. We can evacuate your entire population within 6 months. You will be safe. What's the catch? President Hayes asked. Krell seemed uncomfortable. Humanity would become a client species under Council protection. You would have housing, food, and basic rights, but you would not have the same freedoms you enjoy now. Think of it as permanent refugee status. Rebecca watched the president's face. She could see him thinking, weighing the impossible choice between death and freedom. How long do we have to decide? Hayes asked. Betelgeuse could explode any day now, Krell replied. The gamma-ray burst takes 640 years to reach Earth, but once the star dies, your fate is sealed. You have perhaps 18 months at most. That night, Rebecca stood on her apartment balcony, looking up at the stars. Somewhere up there, Betelgeuse was dying, counting down to an explosion that would end everything she had ever known. But as she stared at the night sky, a crazy idea began to form in her mind. What if evacuation was not the only option? What if there was another way? She picked up her phone and called David. David, she said when he answered, what if we could deflect the gamma-ray burst instead of running from it? There was silence on the other end of the line. Rebecca, David said finally, that's impossible. No one has ever done anything like that. Maybe, Rebecca replied, still looking at the stars. But has anyone ever tried? President Michael Hayes had not slept in 2 days. He sat at the head of the long table in the White House Situation Room, surrounded by the most important people on Earth. World leaders joined the meeting through secure video links from every continent. Dr. Rebecca Martinez sat across from Ambassador Krell, the alien representative. Next to her were Dr. David Chen and the newest member of their team, engineer Lisa Rodriguez. Lisa was known for building impossible things. If anyone could turn Rebecca's crazy idea into reality, it would be her. Let me understand this correctly, President Hayes said, looking tired. You want to build a giant shield in space to protect Earth from a gamma-ray burst? Not exactly a shield, Rebecca explained. More like a magnetic field generator. A really, really big one. She stood up and walked to the large screen at the front of the room. With the remote control, she showed a diagram of the solar system, with several large objects positioned between Earth and Betelgeuse. We build multiple stations in space, Rebecca continued. Each station creates a powerful magnetic field. When we coordinate all the fields together, they can bend the gamma rays around our solar system instead of letting them hit us. Ambassador. Krell made a sound that might have been laughter. Dr. Martinez, what you describe is theoretically possible, but the scale is beyond anything your species has ever attempted. The power requirements alone would need the energy output of a small star. We have calculated the numbers, Dr. David Chen said, opening his laptop. It would require every nuclear power plant on Earth working together, plus solar collectors, wind farms, and everything else we can build in the next year. Even if you could generate enough power, Krell said, the construction would be impossible. Each magnetic field generator would need to be the size of a city. You would need to build them in space, hundreds of millions of miles from Earth, Lisa. Rodriguez smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of someone who enjoyed being told something could not be done. Ambassador, Lisa said, 300 years ago, people said humans could never fly. 50 years later, we were flying. 100 years after that, we went to the moon. 20 years ago, people said we could never build a space elevator. Now we have 3 of them. She pulled out her own tablet and showed her preliminary designs. We have the technology to build these generators, Lisa continued. We have robotic construction ships, automated factories, and mining operations in the asteroid belt. The hard part is not building them. The hard part is building them fast enough. The British Prime Minister spoke up from the video screen. How fast are we talking about? 12 months, Rebecca said. Maybe 14 if we are lucky. We need to have everything ready before Betelgeuse explodes. That is completely insane, said the president of Russia. So is letting our entire species become alien refugees, President Hayes replied. Ambassador Krell stood up, his tall frame towering over the humans in the room. You do not understand the risks. If your magnetic field generators fail, everyone on Earth dies. If they work incorrectly, they could destabilize your sun. If you miscalculate the power requirements, the feedback could destroy your planet. What if we do nothing? Rebecca asked. What happens to Earth then? Krell was quiet for a moment. Your planet becomes a dead rock floating in space. So we die if we try and fail, or we die if we do nothing, President Hayes said. At least, trying gives us a chance. The Chinese premier joined the conversation from Beijing. What would this project cost? Lisa had prepared for this question. Everything. Every country would need to contribute their entire industrial capacity. Every factory, every mine, every construction company. We would need to stop making cars, stop making phones, stop making everything except the parts we need for the magnetic field generators. The global economy would collapse, said the German chancellor. There will not be a global economy if we are all dead, Rebecca pointed out. Ambassador Krell walked to the window and looked out at the White House garden. Even if you could build these devices, you have never tested such technology. The Zarathian Empire tried something similar too, 1,000 years ago. They had technology far more advanced than yours. The project failed, and their homeworld was destroyed. What went wrong? Dr. Chen asked. They could not coordinate the magnetic fields properly. When the gamma ray burst hit, some generators worked, and others did not. The uneven field created a resonance cascade that tore their planet apart. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. However, Krell continued, the Zarathians used a centralized control system. All the generators were controlled from one location. When that location was damaged, the entire system failed. Lisa looked up from her tablet. What if we used a distributed system? What if every generator could work independently and communicate with all the others? That would require incredible precision, Krell said. The timing would need to be perfect down to microseconds. We have atomic clocks, Rebecca said, and quantum communication systems that work faster than light. Ambassador Krell turned around and stared at her. Faster than light communication? That is impossible. Dr. Chen smiled. We call it quantum entanglement. We have been using it for secure communications for 10 years now. For the first time since arriving on Earth, Krell looked genuinely surprised. Show me. Dr. Chen pulled out a small device and demonstrated the quantum communicator. Krell examined it carefully, his blue skin changing to a slight purple color. This technology, Krell said slowly, could solve the coordination problem, but you would still need to generate massive amounts of power and build the largest construction project in galactic history. President Hayes stood up and looked around the room at all the world leaders on the video screens. I am going to ask for a vote, he said. All in favor of attempting Project Sunshield? One by one, every leader voted yes. Even those who thought it was impossible voted yes. The choice was simple. try to save themselves or definitely die. Ambassador. Krell watched the vote with what might have been respect. "Very well," he said. "The Galactic Council will not help you with this project. We cannot risk our ships and personnel on such a dangerous plan. But we will observe and document your attempt." "For historical purposes?" President Hayes asked. "For scientific purposes," Krell replied. "If you succeed, other species will want to know how you did it. If you fail, they will want to know what went wrong." Rebecca walked over to the window, where Krell was standing. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky orange and red. "Ambassador," she said, "how many species have tried to fight a gamma-ray burst instead of running from it?" "In the history of the galaxy?" Krell thought for a moment. "Perhaps 20. None have succeeded." Rebecca smiled. "Then we will be the first." That night, President Hayes signed an executive order mobilizing every resource in America for Project Sunshield. Around the world, other leaders did the same. Humanity had chosen to fight for their home instead of abandoning it. The most ambitious project in human history was about to begin. General Patricia Williams had commanded troops in 3 different wars, but she had never faced anything like Project Sunshield. From her command center in Colorado, she watched dozens of screens showing construction sites all over the world. Every major nation was building parts for the magnetic field generators at the same time. "Status report," Patricia said into her headset. "Germany just finished the 3rd power core," came a voice from across the ocean. "China completed 2 more. Generator rings this morning. Japan is ahead of schedule on the control systems." Patricia nodded and marked the progress on her chart. They had been working for 8 months, and the project was massive beyond imagination. Entire cities had been converted into factories. Every major corporation had stopped their normal business to build components for the space stations. Above Earth's atmosphere, Captain Robert Garcia floated in his spacesuit, welding together pieces of the first magnetic field generator. Roberto was a former astronaut who had come out of retirement to lead the orbital construction teams. Around him, dozens of robotic welders and human workers assembled the giant structure piece by piece. "This thing is bigger than I imagined," Roberto said over the radio to his construction crew. The generator looked like a massive ring made of metal and strange glowing components. It was 3 miles across and filled with technology that had never been tested together before. 5 more generators just like it were being built at different points between Earth and the direction of Betelgeuse. "How are the magnetic coils?" "Working," Roberto asked his chief engineer. "Good so far," came the reply. "But we will not know if they actually work until we turn the whole system on." Back on Earth, Dr. Rebecca Martinez worked day and night with her expanded team of scientists. Dr. Amanda Foster had joined them 6 months ago. Amanda was young, only 28 years old, but she understood magnetic field mathematics better than anyone else alive. "I think I found a problem," Amanda said, looking up from her computer screen. Rebecca walked over to see what Amanda had discovered. The equations on the screen looked incredibly complicated, even to Rebecca. "What kind of problem?" Rebecca asked. "The magnetic fields from all 6 generators need to work together perfectly," Amanda explained. "But when I run the calculations, there are points where the fields might cancel each other out instead of combining." Dr. David Chen looked over Amanda's shoulder at the math. "Can we fix it?" "Maybe," Amanda said. "But we would need to adjust the position of each generator by exactly the right amount. We are talking about movements smaller than the width of a human hair, but over distances of millions of miles. The generators are already built and in position," David pointed out. "We cannot move them now." Amanda smiled. "We cannot move the generators, but we can adjust the magnetic fields themselves. If we change the power to each coil by tiny amounts, we can fine-tune the field shapes." Rebecca felt a spark of hope. "How tiny are we talking about?" Really, really tiny, Amanda said. The power adjustments would need to be accurate to 1 part in a billion. Meanwhile, in space around Earth, alien observation ships watched the human construction project with great interest. Ambassador Krell stood on the bridge of his vessel, studying the growing magnetic field generators through a powerful telescope. "They are actually doing it," said his science officer, a being from a species that looked like tall, thin cats. "The humans are building generators larger than our biggest space stations." "Size is not the issue," Krell replied. "The question is whether their technology will work when tested." On the observation deck, a group of young alien scientists from different species watched the human workers with fascination. Most of them had never seen such ambitious construction before. "Look how they work," said one, a being with 4 arms and silver skin. "They never stop. Even when their shifts end, some of them keep working. Their mathematics are different from ours too," added another observer. "They approach magnetic field equations from angles we never considered." Some of the older alien species had started placing bets on whether the humans would succeed or fail. Most bet on failure, but the odds were getting closer as the project neared completion. Back in her laboratory, Rebecca received a call from Captain Garcia in space. "Rebecca, we have a situation up here," Roberto said. "The final generator is complete, but the power coupling system is not working correctly." "What kind of problem?" Rebecca asked, her heart sinking. "The main power cable that connects the generator to Earth's power grid keeps overloading. Every time we try to run a test, the cable burns out." Rebecca closed her eyes and thought hard. Without all 6 generators working together, the magnetic field shield would have gaps. The gamma rays would get through those gaps and kill everything on Earth. "How much power is too much?" Rebecca asked. "About 3 times more than the cable can handle," Roberto replied. Amanda looked up from her computer. "What if we do not send all the power through one cable? What if we split it between multiple smaller connections?" "That might work," Roberto said over the radio, "but we would need at least 12 cables instead of 1, and we would need to run them all the way from the generator down to Earth." General Williams had been listening to the conversation. "How long would it take to install 12 new power cables?" 2 weeks minimum," Roberto said. "Maybe 3. "We do not have 3 weeks," Rebecca said, checking her calculations. "Betelgeuse is showing more signs of instability. The star could explode any day now." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. They had spent almost a year building the most complex project in human history, and now it might fail because of power cables. Amanda suddenly stood up from her chair. "Wait, what if we do not need 12 cables? What if we need 0 cables?" Everyone stared at her. "Explain," Rebecca said. "What if each generator makes its own power?" Amanda said, getting excited. "We put nuclear reactors on each space station. Small ones, but enough to power the magnetic coils." Dr. Chen shook his head. "We do not have time to build nuclear reactors and launch them into space." "We do not need to build them," Amanda said with a big smile. "We already have them. Nuclear submarines have reactors exactly the right size. We take the reactors out of submarines and modify them for space." General Williams spoke into her radio. "Get me the Secretary of the Navy, now." Within hours, nuclear submarines from 5 different navies were being taken apart. Their reactors were carefully removed and prepared for space travel. It was dangerous work, but teams of engineers worked around the clock to modify the reactors for 0 gravity. 2 weeks later, Captain Garcia watched as the last nuclear reactor was installed on the 6th magnetic field generator. All around the solar system, the other 5 generators had been similarly equipped with their own power sources. "All stations report ready," Roberto said over the radio. "Confirmed," General Williams replied from Earth. "All 6 generators are powered and ready for activation." Dr. Martinez looked at her team in the control room. Amanda, David, and dozens of other scientists were ready at their stations. On the screens around the room, they could see data from all 6 space stations. "Betelgeuse is showing critical signs," Rebecca announced. "The star could explode within the next 72 hours. She looked around the room at all the people who had worked so hard to make this possible. "Ladies and gentlemen," Rebecca said, "it is time to find out if Project Sunshield actually works." Outside, in the alien observation ships, Ambassador Krell and his science team watched the human preparations with great interest. "No species has ever come this close to completing such a project," Krell said to his officers. "Whether they succeed or fail, the humans have accomplished something remarkable. The countdown to humanity's greatest test was about to begin." Dr. Rebecca Martinez had not left the control room in 3 days. She watched the screens showing data from the 6 magnetic field generators positioned around Earth's solar system. Next to her, Mission Controller Steve Johnson monitored communications with all the space stations. "Betelgeuse temperature readings are going crazy," Steve announced. "The star's surface is getting hotter by the hour." Rebecca checked her calculations one more time. The red giant star was 640 light-years away from Earth. When it exploded, the gamma-ray burst would travel at the speed of light, taking 640 years to reach them. But once the explosion happened, they would only have about 8 hours warning before the deadly radiation arrived. "All stations, this is Houston Control," Steve said into his microphone. "Prepare for final system checks." Around the solar system, the 6 massive magnetic field generators hummed with power. Each one was the size of a small city, floating in the darkness of space. Captain Robert Garcia commanded the control station that would coordinate all 6 generators when the time came. "Generator 1 ready," came Roberto's voice over the radio. "Generator 2 ready," said another voice. One by one, all 6 stations reported they were prepared for activation. At 3:47 a.m. Houston time, Dr. Amanda Foster looked up from her computer screen with wide eyes. "Rebecca," Amanda said quietly. "Betelgeuse just went dark." Rebecca rushed to Amanda's workstation. The young scientist was right. The star that had shone in Earth's sky for thousands of years had suddenly vanished from their sensors. "How long ago?" Rebecca asked. Amanda checked the timestamps. "The light stopped reaching our telescopes 18 minutes ago." Steve grabbed his microphone. "All stations, this is Houston Control. Betelgeuse has gone supernova. Repeat, the star has exploded. Gamma-ray burst will arrive in approximately 7 hours and 32 minutes. Around the world, emergency broadcasts went out to every television, radio, and internet connection. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for almost a year, but now that it was really happening, millions of people felt terrified. In the Galactic Council observation ships, Ambassador Krell and his team watched the human preparations with great interest. "Their timing will need to be perfect," Krell said to his science officer. "If they activate the magnetic fields too early, the generators will burn out before the gamma rays arrive. If they activate too late, the radiation will get through." "What do you think will happen?" the science officer asked. Krell was quiet for a moment. "I think we are about to witness either the greatest triumph or the greatest tragedy in galactic history." Back in the Houston control room, Rebecca and her team worked frantically to prepare for the gamma-ray burst. Dr. David Chen monitored the power systems, while Amanda calculated the exact timing for activating each generator. "The burst will hit Generator 6 first," Amanda announced. "Then Generator 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. Each generator needs to activate exactly 14 seconds before the gamma rays reach it." "Confirmed," Steve said. "All stations, prepare for sequential activation beginning in 6 hours and 48 minutes. As the hours passed, tension in the control room grew thicker. Everyone knew that if Project Sunshield failed, every person on Earth would be dead within days. The gamma-ray burst would strip away Earth's atmosphere and turn the planet into a lifeless rock. Captain Garcia floated in his command chair aboard the primary control station, watching the readings from all 6 generators. Everything looked good, but he knew that real tests only came when systems were pushed to their limits. "Houston, this is Garcia," Roberto said over the radio. "All generators are operating at optimal levels. Nuclear reactors are stable. Magnetic field coils are charged and ready." "Copy that, Roberto," Steve replied. "Stand by for activation sequence." With 2 hours remaining, Dr. Amanda Foster made a discovery that changed everything. "Rebecca, I am seeing something strange in the gamma-ray data," Amanda said, pointing at her screen. Rebecca looked at the numbers Amanda was showing her. The gamma-ray burst from Betelgeuse was much stronger than any of their computer models had predicted. "How much stronger?" Rebecca asked. "About 40% more powerful than we planned for," Amanda said. "Our magnetic fields might not be strong enough to deflect all of it." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. They had built the most complex machines in human history, and they might still not be enough to save Earth. "Doctor." Chen looked up from his workstation. "Can we increase the power to the magnetic field generators?" "Not without burning them out," Amanda replied. "We are already operating at maximum safe levels." Rebecca stared at the data on Amanda's screen. There had to be a solution. There was always a solution. "What if we use Earth's own magnetic field to help us?" Rebecca said suddenly. Amanda looked confused. "How?" "Earth has a magnetic field that protects us from solar radiation," Rebecca explained. "What if we could make our generators work together with Earth's natural field, like amplifying a signal?" Amanda's fingers flew across her keyboard as she ran calculations. That could work, but the timing would be incredibly precise. We would need to activate the generators at exactly the right moment to create a resonance effect with Earth's magnetic field. "How precise?" Steve asked. "Down to the millisecond," Amanda said. "And if we get it wrong, we could destabilize Earth's magnetic field completely. The planet would lose its natural protection forever." Captain Garcia's voice came over the radio. "Houston, I am reading massive gamma-ray signature approaching Generator 6. Burst arrival in 43 minutes. Rebecca looked around the control room at her team. Everyone was watching her, waiting for her decision. She could order the standard activation sequence which might not be strong enough to protect Earth, or she could try Amanda's resonance idea, which could either save the planet or destroy it completely. "Roberto," Rebecca said into the microphone, "I need you to manually adjust the field generators when I give the signal. Can you do that?" "Affirmative," Garcia replied. "But I will need to be close to the generators when the gamma rays hit. The radiation exposure will probably be fatal." "Roberto, you do not have to do this," Rebecca said. Captain Garcia was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke in a calm, steady voice. "Rebecca, I have been in space for 20 years. I have seen Earth from orbit more times than I can count. It is the most beautiful thing in the universe. If I can help save it, then that is how I want to spend my last day." Rebecca felt tears in her eyes, but she wiped them away. There was no time for emotion now. "All stations, prepare for emergency manual override sequence," she announced. "Gamma-ray burst arrival in 37 minutes. On the screens around the control room, they could see the first faint traces of the deadly radiation racing toward Earth at the speed of light. The greatest test in human history was about to begin. The gamma-ray burst from Betelgeuse hit the first magnetic field generator like an invisible wall of death traveling at the speed of light. Captain Robert Garcia watched his instruments as Generator 6 was suddenly flooded with radiation that could kill 1,000,000 people in seconds. "Generator 6 is taking the hit," Roberto said over the radio to Houston Control. "Magnetic fields are holding, but barely." Dr. Rebecca Martinez watched the data streaming across her screens in the control room. The first generator was deflecting. Most of the gamma rays, but some were getting through. The radiation that escaped was heading straight for Generator 5. "Roberto, you need to boost the power to Generator 5 right now," Rebecca said into her microphone. "Copy that," Garcia replied. Captain Garcia pushed his small spacecraft closer to Generator 5, ignoring the radiation alarms screaming in his cockpit. He manually adjusted the magnetic field coils, fine-tuning them to catch the gamma rays that had escaped from Generator 6. Generator 5 is holding, Roberto reported. But the radiation is stronger than we calculated. I am not sure. The other generators can handle it. Dr. Amanda Foster worked frantically at her computer, calculating the exact moment to create the resonance effect with Earth's magnetic field. The timing had to be perfect, or the whole plan would fail. Rebecca, I need to activate the resonance. In exactly 47 seconds, Amanda said. Are you ready? Rebecca took a deep breath. Everything humanity had worked for came down to the next few minutes. Roberto, prepare for resonance activation, Rebecca said. You need to adjust all 6 generators at exactly the same time. Understood, Garcia replied. I am moving to the central coordination point now. Captain Garcia flew his spacecraft to a position between all 6 generators. From here, he could manually control the magnetic fields of all 6 stations at once. The gamma-ray burst was getting stronger as it passed through the solar system, and he could feel the radiation starting to affect his ship's systems. 30 seconds to resonance, Amanda announced. The alien observation ships watched in amazement as the human generators began to glow with energy. Ambassador Krell and his science team had never seen magnetic fields this powerful before. Their field strength is beyond anything we thought possible, Krell's science officer said. How are they generating so much power? Human determination, Krell replied quietly. Something we have underestimated. 15 seconds to resonance, Amanda called out. Captain Garcia's hands flew over his control panels, adjusting the power output of each generator by tiny amounts. The radiation was getting worse, and he could feel his spacesuit's systems starting to fail. 10 seconds, Amanda said. Roberto made the final adjustments to the magnetic field generators. On his screens, he could see the gamma-ray burst approaching, like a wave of destruction that would wash over Earth in just a few minutes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, activate resonance now, Amanda said. Captain Garcia pressed 6 buttons at exactly the same moment. All around the solar system, the magnetic field generators suddenly changed their frequency to match Earth's natural magnetic field. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then something incredible occurred. The magnetic fields from all 6 generators connected with Earth's own magnetic field and created a resonance cascade effect. Instead of just deflecting the gamma rays, the combined fields began to channel and absorb the radiation. Roberto, what are you seeing out there? Rebecca asked. Garcia looked at his instruments in amazement. The gamma rays are not just being deflected. They are being captured and converted into electrical energy. Dr. Amanda Foster stared at her computer screen. The numbers she was seeing should have been impossible. The resonance effect is working better than we hoped, Amanda said. The magnetic fields are actually storing the gamma-ray energy instead of just pushing it away. Engineer Lisa Rodriguez, who had been monitoring the power systems, suddenly started laughing. What is it? Rebecca asked. The energy collectors I built as backup systems, Lisa said. They are absorbing massive amounts of power from the gamma rays. We are collecting enough energy to power human civilization for the next 1,000 years. As the gamma-ray burst continued to hit Earth's solar system, the magnetic field generators did something no alien species had ever achieved. They turned the most destructive force in the galaxy into a source of unlimited clean energy. Captain Garcia watched the final waves of gamma radiation being captured and stored by the human-built systems. His spacecraft was badly damaged by radiation exposure, but he had survived long enough to see the project succeed. Houston, this is Garcia, Roberto said, his voice weak but proud. Mission accomplished. Earth is safe. Around the planet, billions of people watched the night sky as the aurora displays grew brighter than anyone had ever seen before. The captured gamma-ray energy was interacting with Earth's atmosphere, creating the most beautiful light show in human history. In the alien observation ships, Ambassador Krell and his team sat in stunned silence. They had just watched a supposedly primitive species do something that advanced civilizations had tried and failed to accomplish for millions of years. "Prepare a message to the Galactic Council," Krell told his communications officer. "Tell them that humanity has not only survived a gamma-ray burst, but has learned to harness its power." The science officer looked at Krell with something that might have been respect. "What should we do about trade negotiations?" "We should ask the humans what they want," Krell replied. "I suspect the balance of power in this galaxy just changed dramatically." Back in the Houston control room, Dr. Rebecca Martinez collapsed into her chair as the last of the gamma-ray burst was successfully captured and stored. Around her, the entire team was cheering and hugging each other. Steve Johnson, the mission controller, walked over to Rebecca with a huge smile on his face. "Dr. Martinez," Steve said, "I just received a message from the Galactic Council. They are requesting permission to send scientific teams to study our magnetic field technology." Rebecca smiled. "Tell them we would be happy to share our knowledge, but this time we negotiate as equals." Dr. Amanda Foster looked up from her computer screen. "Rebecca, I am reading some interesting data from the captured energy. It looks like we accidentally discovered how to create faster-than-light travel using gamma-ray power." "What do you mean?" Rebecca asked. "The energy we captured is not just powerful," Amanda explained. "It is structured in a way that could let us fold space itself. We could travel to other star systems in days instead of years." Dr. David Chen looked at the energy readings on his screen. "If Amanda is right, we have just become one of the most technologically advanced species in the galaxy." Rebecca stood up and walked to the window overlooking mission control. Outside, she could see the beautiful aurora lights dancing across the sky. Just a few hours ago, those lights had been deadly gamma rays from an exploding star. Now they were powering humanity's leap into a new age. "6 months ago, the aliens came here to evacuate us," Rebecca said to her team. "They thought we were helpless refugees who needed to be saved." She turned around and looked at Amanda, David, Lisa, and Steve. "I think they are going to be very surprised when they find out what we have become." Captain Garcia's damaged spacecraft limped back toward Earth, carrying the hero who had risked everything to save his home planet. He would recover from his radiation exposure, thanks to the advanced medical technology that the captured gamma-ray energy made possible. Humanity had faced the greatest threat in galactic history and had not just survived, but had turned it into their greatest victory. The species that had almost become refugees was about to become the most powerful civilization in the Milky Way galaxy. 6 months after the Betelgeuse gamma-ray burst, the world had changed in ways that no one could have imagined. Dr. Rebecca Martinez stood in her new office aboard the Galactic Council's primary space station, looking out at a view that showed dozens of alien ships from 12 different species. She was now the first human member of the Council's Scientific Advisory Board. Her unconventional approach to magnetic field mathematics had revolutionized engineering standards across the galaxy. Alien civilizations that had existed for millions of years were asking humans for advice. "Dr. Martinez," said her alien assistant, a being that looked like a tall, friendly dolphin with arms. "The Andromedan delegation is here for their appointment." Rebecca smiled. "Send them in." 3 aliens entered her office. They were beautiful creatures with crystal-like skin that changed colors as they moved. Their home galaxy was facing a similar supernova threat, and they had traveled across the void between galaxies to ask for human help. "Dr. Martinez," said their leader, "our star will explode in 2 years. We have tried to build deflection systems like yours, but we cannot make them work. Will humanity help us?" "Of course," Rebecca replied. "That is what we do now." On Earth, President Michael Hayes was meeting with engineers Lisa Rodriguez and General Patricia Williams in the newly constructed Stellar Crisis Response Center. The building had been built using materials created with gamma-ray energy, making it stronger than anything previously possible. Status report on the rescue fleet, President Hayes said. General Williams consulted her tablet. We have 15 ships ready for deep space deployment. Each one carries a full magnetic field generator and enough supplies to protect an entire solar system. Lisa Rodriguez added, the new ships use the gamma-ray energy we captured for faster-than-light travel. We can reach any point in the galaxy within 3 weeks. And Captain Garcia's team? The president asked. Roberto is fully recovered and commanding the flagship, Williams said. He has trained 200 other pilots in stellar crisis response. They are ready to launch whenever we receive a distress call. The Human Stellar Engineering Corps had become the galaxy's premier emergency response organization. When civilizations faced cosmic threats, they called Earth for help. It was a remarkable change from 6 months ago, when humanity had been offered refugee status. Dr. Amanda Foster, now director of the Betelgeuse Research Station, sat in her laboratory studying the data from their successful deflection project. The research station was built inside the beautiful nebula that had formed where Betelgeuse used to be. Dr. Foster, said her research assistant, we are receiving another distress signal. Amanda looked at the message on her screen. It was from a galaxy so far away that the light from their stars had taken millions of years to reach Earth. They are facing a gamma-ray burst from their galactic core, Amanda said, reading the details. Much bigger than Betelgeuse. They need help fast. She pressed a button on her desk that connected her directly to Captain Garcia's command ship. Roberto, we have another emergency. How quickly can you get a rescue fleet to the Whirlpool Galaxy? Garcia's voice came through the speaker. With our new gamma-ray drives, about 2 weeks. What are we dealing with? A gamma-ray burst that could sterilize their entire galaxy, Amanda replied. We will be ready to launch in 6 hours, Roberto said without hesitation. The alien observation ships that had once come to watch humanity's expected failure now served as permanent diplomatic vessels. Ambassador Krell spent most of his time helping to coordinate rescue missions between Earth and various alien civilizations. Ambassador, said his communications officer, the Galactic Council is requesting an update on human technological development. Krell thought about how to answer. In 6 months, humanity had advanced from a single-planet species to the most powerful civilization in known space. They had faster-than-light travel, unlimited energy, and defensive technologies that could protect entire galaxies. Tell the Council that humanity continues to exceed all expectations, Krell said. They have solved 3 more stellar crisis situations this month alone. The Rigel system, the Vega colonies, and the entire Centauri sector are all safe because of human intervention. What about the trade negotiations? The officer asked. Humanity is not interested in traditional trade, Krell replied. They give their technology away for free to any species that needs help. In return, they ask only for friendship and scientific cooperation. This was perhaps the most surprising thing about humanity's rise to power. Unlike most advanced civilizations, humans did not use their superior technology to dominate others. Instead, they used it to help anyone who was in trouble. Dr. David Chen, now leading the Gamma Ray Energy Research Institute, had made another breakthrough. He discovered that the energy captured from Betelgeuse could be used to create new stars. Humanity was not just protecting civilizations from cosmic threats, they were actually improving the galaxy. If we can seed new stars in empty regions of space, David explained to a gathering of alien scientists, we can create safe zones where younger civilizations can develop without worrying about supernovas or gamma-ray bursts. The alien scientists were amazed. Most species spent their energy trying to escape cosmic threats. Humans were talking about redesigning the galaxy to be safer for everyone. Captain Garcia stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Earth's Hope, as his fleet prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed. They were heading to help a civilization that was facing not just one supernova, but 3 stars that were about to explode at the same time. All ships report ready, said his navigator. Activate gamma-ray drives, Roberto commanded. The 15 human ships disappeared in flashes of brilliant light, traveling faster than anything else in the galaxy. They carried magnetic field generators, nuclear reactors, construction equipment, and, most importantly, the knowledge of how to turn the galaxy's greatest threats into sources of unlimited power. Back on Earth, Rebecca Martinez received a personal message from the leader of the Andromedan galaxy. Their supernova crisis had been resolved successfully, and their entire civilization wanted to thank humanity for saving them. But the message that made Rebecca smile the most came from a small, previously unknown species from the edge of the galaxy. They were facing a cosmic threat that would destroy their homeworld, and they had heard that there was a planet called Earth where people would help anyone who asked. Rebecca recorded her reply immediately. "This is Dr. Rebecca Martinez of Earth. We received your message, and help is on the way. Captain Garcia's fleet will arrive at your location in 18 days. You are not alone. Humanity stands ready to protect any species that needs our help." She sent the message and then walked to her window again. Outside, she could see the beautiful aurora lights that still danced around Earth 6 months after the Betelgeuse event. The lights had become a symbol of humanity's transformation from potential victims to galactic protectors. In the distance, she could see construction ships building the next generation of stellar defense platforms. These would be even more powerful than the original 6 generators, capable of protecting entire galactic clusters from cosmic threats. Rebecca thought about how much had changed since that night when she first noticed the strange readings from Betelgeuse. Humanity had faced the choice between running away or fighting to save their home. They had chosen to fight, and in doing so, they had discovered their true purpose in the galaxy. Dr. Amanda Foster's voice came over the intercom system. "Rebecca, we just received 47 new distress calls from across the galaxy. Species are hearing about our success and asking for help with everything from asteroid impacts to black hole instabilities." Rebecca smiled. "Tell Captain Garcia to prepare the entire fleet. It looks like we are going to be busy." As Earth's rescue ships prepared for their next missions, the night sky above the planet glowed with the captured energy of a dead star. Betelgeuse was gone, but its final gift to humanity had made them the guardians of the galaxy. The species that had almost become refugees 6 months ago was now the first place that civilizations called when they faced impossible odds. And humanity always answered the call, because that was who they had become. The most threatening star in the Milky Way had indeed blown up, but instead of ending humanity's story, it had written the first chapter of their greatest adventure.